Good day to you, friends, and I welcome you back to this channel where we talk about relationship. In our last video, we started talking about a personality disorder known as narcissism. And the question came from one of the viewers that what's really the difference between narcissistic traits and narcissistic personality disorder? That is it possible for someone to have narcissistic traits and not being a narcissist? So, just the straight answer to that question is yes, it is possible. It is possible to have the narcissistic traits without being a narcissist. It is. So this can happen maybe as a result of situation or an achievement. Maybe somebody who has just been promoted at place of work, or someone who has just done something like a kind of achieved something like a kind of landmark achievement. And at times it's possible you may be boastful about that, you may talk about that, you may say a lot of things about it, and maybe when the thing has just happened, you find yourself talking about it repeatedly. You find yourself everywhere you are ready to share that good news. You are ready to talk about it. You are ready to boast about it. So that does not make that person a narcissist. Of course, boasting, talking about oneself always is a kind of trait, but that does not mean that person at that particular time is a narcissist. So I would just want us to go over the traits of narcissism, that is the narcissistic traits. What are they? And of course there are many of them, but we just mention few in this video. And the first thing we want to talk about is grandiose sense of self. That is overrated sense of self. Thinking that, okay, you are the best in everything, you are better than anybody. And once you see someone who is able to do something you are not able to do, you want to get them, you want to overtake them. So this grandiose sense of self, that is thinking that you are the best, you are better than every other person in the world. So that is number one trait. And number two is lack of empathy. Lack of empathy. The number three is lack of capacity to love others, to be able to love others, because you must have feelings. You must feel for others before you are able to love them. And another one is they are master manipulators and gaslighters, as in they can manipulate people, they can make others think that, okay, it is the other person that has the problem, and they are gaslighters in that they make you doubt your own sanity, as in something that is as clear as the day. This thing is red. A narcissist will tell you that no, it is not red, it is pure white. And you yourself will, at a point, you'll be asking yourself, am I okay? Am I thinking right? Am I doing well? As in you doubt your sanity. That is what gaslighting means. And then they are pathological liars, as in narcissists lie about anything, everything. It's as bad as something like, okay, maybe they have used, what you will think that a normal human being should not lie about. Narcissists will lie about it. So they are pathological liars. They lie about anything, everything, anytime, every time. So expect that from them. And another thing is they lack kindness. They lack because they don't have empathy. They don't feel for you. They don't feel you are a human being. To them, every other person is just a pawn in their game of chess. So they use every other person to defend themselves, who they always perceive as the king. So every other person is just like that to them. So they lack kindness towards you. Then entitlement mentality. They are entitled. If a narcissist wants something, they do not see it as, okay, that thing happening is a privilege. No, they see it as their entitlement. They see it as is because of the result. It's as the result of their being special and all that. So they're entitled to your respect. They're entitled to your loyalty. They're entitled to your goodness. They're entitled to everything about you. But don't expect it from them, because they cannot give that to you. They are arrogant, very, very arrogant. They are proud and all that. And they are very aggressive. All these are narcissistic traits. They are very aggressive. You see them doing different things, different ways, just to get themselves, just to get people to listen to them. And when you try, maybe like you try to talk to them, this that you are doing is not good, they are very defensive. And when it's like they feel you are not getting them, they become very aggressive. So it's very possible for somebody to have some of these traits and not be a narcissist. Of course, there is possible for somebody to be a liar, as in they can lie at any time, but that does not mean that they lack empathy. It's just a kind of issue they did not deal with. All of us at a particular stage of our lives, we tell lies as children, but it's something that, okay, you have to outgrow and then be able to say, yes, I take responsibility for my actions. So there are people who were not able to outgrow that, and you see them, they tend to telling lies, but that does not make them lack empathy. That does not mean that they are not kind. So you cannot group them as narcissists, even though they have that trait of lying, which is part of narcissistic trait, but because of it's something that they didn't outgrow, it's a kind of trait in them, but that does not make them a narcissist. So therefore, before we can conclude, or before we can say, okay, that someone is a narcissist, these 5 important things must be considered. We have to take these things into consideration. And the first thing is, there must be something we call impairment of self-functioning. That is distorted self-identity and self-direction. You know, when you say something is distorted, that is, it's not normal, it's not the way it should be. So their self-identity, their self-direction is not okay. And this manifests itself in their grandiose sense of self-worth. They believe they worth whatever happens or whatever you have, they are very important. So being special and then thinking that they are better than others. So that must be present in the person. That is that grandiose sense of self, distorted self-identity and all that. And then the second impairment is impairment in interpersonal functioning. That is inability to feel empathy, to experience empathy or intimacy. So to love others or to have meaningful and selfless relationship. So that must be present. The impairment of interpersonal functioning. Because in the world of narcissists, the only person that lives or that is there is themselves. So every others, they are nothing but instruments to get whatever they want. So that must be present. That lack of empathy, lack of ability to have intimacy, all that must be present. And the third impairment is that it must be stable across time and situation. That is, if all these aforementioned are there, that is this distorted sense of self, and then this lack of empathy, inability to love others, they have to be there. But they must be consistent across time and situation. For example, some people find it difficult to relate with people, maybe because of their tribe, because of their culture and things like that. So when they meet people from that tribe that they can't relate with, you see them being selfish towards them, not being able to love them, not being able to have any meaningful intimacy with them. And we can see that a lot when you talk of racism and all that. So they have that difficulty, but that does not mean that that person is a narcissist. So it has to be continuous across time, across situation. So it's not that, okay, it's just within this period that they are not among the people that are able to love. No. So it has to cut across time and situation before you can say, okay, this is someone who is suffering from narcissistic personality disorder. And the fourth impairment, it must not be due to developmental stage. You know, as I said earlier, that all of us at one stage of our lives or the other, we all tell lies. But as gradually as we are growing, we outgrow that developmental stage. So it must not be due to developmental stage or environment. For example, Children tends to be selfish because even when you give them something to give it back to you, it's tug of war. And when they have something that belongs to them, they are not ready to share. But when they see anything with you, they must collect from it. So at that moment, it's just the developmental stage. That does not mean that that child is a narcissist. And then young adults too, most of the time, because in their head, they think of themselves alone, how they will achieve, what they want to become in future, and all that. So that makes them selfish and unable to see the need of others. So that does not mean that at that particular time, they are narcissist. It's just a kind of developmental stage in them. And the fifth impairment is cannot be due to substance abuse or medical condition. You know, at times people have different medical condition that makes them to think of themselves alone. You know, for some medical or psychological conditions, some people can tend to be showing all these narcissistic traits, but that does not mean they are narcissist. For example, someone going through severe pain, maybe because of one thing or the other that has happened to them, the pain is so much, they can take the money meant for family feeding to go and buy medication to relieve their pain themselves without thinking of what will happen to others without food. So that does not make them narcissists. It is just the health condition, the medical condition at that time. So it must meet all these 5 impairments. The lack of empathy must be there, the inability to love others, that lack of empathy, lack of kindness, lack of ability to have meaningful relationship, and then the distorted sense of self must be there. And also it must cut across time and situation, and then it must not be because of a developmental stage or environment, and it must not be as a result of medical condition or psychological condition. So all this has to be checked before you can say, okay, this person is only having narcissistic traits or this person is a narcissist. So in conclusion, for somebody to be a narcissist, all the above mentions must be present and consistent. So it takes a long period and a constant situation for you to be able to say, okay, this person may be having this personality disorder. And as I said in the previous video, you did not break them, so you can't make them. So try as much as possible. This knowledge is not for you to correct anybody or to help anybody. It's to help yourself, to see how you can prevent yourself from being a victim. Because being a victim in an abusive relationship may cause you lifetime damage, either physically, emotionally, mentally, and in every other ramification of your life. So watch out for all this so that you prevent yourself from being a victim. And if you see those things in yourself, remember that others are suffering from from your problem, and then try to seek help. So thank you so much, dear subscribers. Thank you for sharing our videos. Thank you for liking our videos. And remember to subscribe if you have not done so. You can hit the notification button so that each time we have a new video, you are notified. So thank you so much for all that you do. Till I come your way again, remain blessed.